Welcome back to the Urban Labs podcast. This is the Animal Sentience series. How I looked into the animal sentience construct was with respect to this particular sentence, which is if humans do not understand animal rights, artificial intelligence will not understand human rights. Now, this particular sentence I looked into philosophically. I asked various generative AI models, and I asked them, "Is this correct?" And they came back with a astounding yes. Therefore, we have to really concentrate on animal rights, not only with respect to a feeling of empathy, but this is a really need for the hour in various ways over and above the empathetic argument. We have with us Lana, who will explain further on what we are doing with respect to animal sentience.
So, millions of animals suffer every day. It's not that we lack laws, but we refuse to enforce them. So, the main objective today for our podcast, this episode, is that we are talking about how we can ensure animal sentience or animal welfare through the legal and governance system. We can take examples, we can adapt them meaningfully into Indian laws, and then we can also get better regulator practices from other countries globally, and systematically we can improve a lot. Professor, what do you think about the Indian governance system?
Okay, so I leave the legal structures to you, but I will come with respect to the Indian knowledge system and its response to things like animal rights. I know a vast portion of the population is vegetarian. They understand animal rights. In fact, we are the leading country where vegetarianism is practiced, and maybe there are certain religious codes which ask people to be vegetarians, and they do it with respect to understanding that there is a thing called animal rights. There is a kind of jurisprudence which goes along with it. And I think India is the perfect country where we should discuss how we should look into animal rights. And of course, we should look into other countries which have practiced these animal rights techniques. And there are many ways by which we can come to this understanding of animal rights. But to me, I think number one is the culling of animals, especially for the meat and other kinds of industries. And how can we do this in a more humane way, in a way which reduces their pain? And we also have to think about something called inclusion. There is a notion called speciesism, which is where, for example, human beings are also animals. Right?
Yeah.
However, we have a clear departure between humans and non-human animals. We have to slowly get in a particular objective manner more and more animals and to think about their rights, and we have to include them. And look how it dovetails with what I said. This will become what I said earlier, which was how AI will look at human rights. So when we look at animal rights and when we are increasing the nets of conscious sentient beings coming under the net of rights, which is a legal lens, and then AI will have a method how they can also include human rights in their realm of understanding what is rightful and not rightful. Anything to add?
When you talked about animal slaughtering or how
Yes.
our
Yes.
country India, majority follow vegetarianism.
Yes.
Right. So even while the majority is vegetarianism,
Not majority, but yes, a large portion.
Yes.
Yes.
Population does. So the other part where the non-vegetarianism is practiced, don't you think that we should have more proper laws where we ensure that the animals, considering them as sentient beings, just
Yes,
like
yes.
us, should be properly regulated?
Yes, absolutely. And it is not only a legal framework, we also have to create a process framework by which this is a win-win for everyone. So there is a low-cost methods of reducing the suffering of animals. So it is the entire process of how do we rear animals, how are they kept in captivity, what more can we do, and we have to have a full level understanding of this process. And we can use various models of jurisprudence to understand how we can include animal rights. For example, there are principles in Jainism, there are principles in Buddhism, along with Hinduism, and including the Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Islam.
That's the problem,
Yes.
Professor. When you said that we could inculcate all these religious values to animal sentience, the problem is it's not being inculcated. For example, it's been almost 6 decades. The Animal Prevention Cruelty Act still hasn't been amended.
Yes.
Do you know the local bus fare would be around less than rupees 50 rupees, or a plate of momos that you buy on the street would also be less than rupees 50? But if you do something to an animal which is very cruel, or you murder an animal by chance, God forbid, but the fine is still the same. You're paying the same amount as a local bus fare for animal cruelty. That speaks a lot.
Absolutely. This is a very important point, and I think both this particular problem has to be approached both in terms of objectively, the other social sciences have to understand it correctly. There's also a neuroscience bit of what is pain and what is not pain and how can we reduce pain. The second part is that having understood it scientifically and objectively, we have to understand what processes can be followed. We have to learn from other countries. We have to learn from different levels of jurisprudence and create process maps, and then go to the legal realm and figure out and formulate a law. And like you correctly pointed out, that in India possibly the laws are not good enough, but we also do not know a solution. For example, what should be the law? We don't know that. So I think this Urban Labs podcast on animal sentience is a discourse, a platform where different people can have their say, and hopefully within 6 months, so this is a challenge to all of us, within 6 months we come out with a draft mechanism by which different stakeholders have to formulate a method to take animal rights into proper consideration.
When you talked about solutions, now we take an example of the United States. If cruelty is done to any form of animal, they impose imprisonment as a punishment of up to 7 years. And if we consider UK or Germany, they also have fines of about like 25,000 pounds, which is significantly better compared to how we have a fine of rupees 50.
Right.
So when we take about the laws regarding, you talked about pre-stunning and how we can make it less painful for the animals. If we talk about that, in India, if we consider a hospital, we would want it to be hygienic, sanitary and regulated. But just like animals, just like how we humans want it like that, animals also probably want it like that. The slaughterhouses that we see now, it's unhygienic, it's unregulated, and it's not circulated properly well.
Yes, and it is a serious health concern.
It is.
Okay, it is a serious health concern, and we see that the bird flus and things like that. So everyone will benefit by suffering, by minimizing the suffering of animals.
Yes.
Okay. By minimizing the suffering of animals, it's also a method by which a lot of employment can be gainfully made by creating correct processes. So we would actually encourage a lot of schools and colleges to look into their neighborhood abattoirs and figure out how these very, I think, cost-effective methods of stunning can be provided.
Yes.
Very interesting methods of keeping and rearing animals can be done. And this will be a win-win to everyone. And I think we should not waste too much time at all. And we have created a time frame of around 6 months by which we have created a document. And all of us will be held responsible if we don't follow this timeline.
Since it's unsupervised also, it's kind of like a horror game show going on right there.
Yes.
So when we talk about animals, we know they suffer, they feel pain, they grieve. So considering that all into the being, why don't we have examples of other countries also for slaughtering an animals, or have examples within our country also based on religious aspect, how multiple religions, like you said, Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Abrahamic religions also inculcate values on how we can minimize animal pain while consuming them.
Absolutely. So maybe in the podcasts to come, we will look into these aspects individually. Keep yourself tuned to our channel, and if you want to become a part of something great which benefits everyone, stay tuned to the Urban Labs podcast and the Animal Sentience channel. Thank you.
Thank you.